Oh, it's technically cheaper, technically. Looking pretty sculpted. £1. And I messed it up, so just be warned. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I don't know if you can hear from my voice, I don't know if I sound any different. I don't even know how I sound on YouTube because I seem to have a sort of like camera voice that I don't even intentionally do. It just like when I watch my videos back and then when I hear myself talking in someone else's video, I sound different. So I don't even know if I sound different, but if I still sound a bit different today, it's because I'm still ill. This time last week, I posted a video saying, oh yeah, my voice sounds a bit different because I'm ill. Was feeling like pretty much back to normal by Friday. Went out on Saturday and I think it was just the fact that I was in like a loud bar with like music so loud that you had to shout at people to have a conversation, and I think it's just sent me backwards. But today I'm going to be doing a full face of my cheapest makeup, and this isn't to be like, oh, cheap makeup sucks. It's actually to be like, you know what? You can still get a really, really good makeup look out of makeup that is really affordable. So I thought I would gather my cheapest makeup that I have in my collection. There are some bits that I have tested on my channel before that would have been my cheapest makeup, but I have decluttered some of that stuff if it wasn't things that I would necessarily use again. Let's get into it. I'm starting off with primer. This one is the Primark Prep and Perfect Balancing Primer. This was £4 and you get 50ml in here, so it's a pretty good size. And it feels weighty, like this tube is filled to the max. It's not just like a half-filled tube, you know? Oh. And I have done a whole video testing Primark makeup, and I have to say they have some pretty decent stuff. Some of their stuff isn't so great, but some of their stuff is actually really good. I mean, that goes for any makeup brand really. No makeup brand has got every single product that is good. I'm just putting on a bit more because, to be honest, this primer to me just kind of feels like a moisturizer, which is absolutely fine. I mean, I love a moisturizing primer. I find that foundation sits really nicely when my skin is nice and moisturized, so it definitely feels hydrating, but it also leaves you with like a slight tacky feeling, and I should not have just put that on my eyelids because they're starting to sting a little bit. And then for my foundation, the two most affordable foundations that I had were this Primark one, which is the matte foundation double coverage, which is supposedly a dupe of the Estee Lauder double wear, and I also had the 17 foundation as well, but I much prefer this one to the 17 foundation that I tried before. It was called the Second Skin Enhancing Foundation. I've not tried their tinted moisturizer, so if anybody has tried the tinted moisturizer stuff from 17, let me know, but the Second Skin foundation wasn't my favorite, and it's the same price as this, and I way prefer the Primark one. But something that I did just want to quickly mention, if you have like a couple pounds more in your budget, I think this Rimmel one is around like the £7 mark. It's the Rimmel Kind and Free foundation. This stuff is really, really good. So let's pour some onto my finger. That's the one downside to this packaging. It doesn't have any kind of pump. It is quite a thick foundation and it is pretty full coverage. If you have oily skin, you'll probably really like this. But yeah, for a £5, it is definitely worth the £5 in my opinion. It's not really a foundation that I reach for much anymore just because I tend to not go for matte foundations these days, but back when I had oily skin I really enjoyed this foundation, and this shade is definitely a bit dark at the moment. I also really liked Primark's other foundation, which I think, what was it called? It was in like the black squeezy tube, but I've not seen it in there since, so I don't think they do it anymore. It was the Natural Finish foundation, the same range as this powder foundation. Yeah, that range was pretty good, but I've not seen it in Primark since, so I don't know if it was just like a one-off kind of thing. So as you can see, it is a pretty matte foundation. I mean, I have two really bright lights on me at the moment because it's currently pitch black outside, but as you can see, it's pretty matte. For my concealer, I'm going to use this one, which is the 17 Second Skin Enhancing Concealer, and I have the shade 002N. Oh, by the way, the Primark foundation I had in the shade Nude 05, if that helps. This is £2, which I'm pretty sure is the cheapest, besides Poundland, that's the cheapest concealer that I've ever had. Even like the Collection Lasting Perfection concealer, that was always like, I don't know, £3.50 back when I was at school. I think it's maybe now like £5. So £2 for a concealer is really, really good. And I mean, it's not the best concealer in the world, but as you will see, it can work. Maybe this will actually lighten up my foundation a little bit. The thing is with makeup, it is never about how much money you spend on your makeup products. Just because you're spending like, I don't know, 50 quid on an eyeshadow palette doesn't always mean that it's just going to automatically be good. I have bought some high-end makeup that I have regretted buying because it has ended up not being as good as some of my drugstore stuff. And definitely as I've got older, I do buy more higher end makeup these days, and I'm lucky enough to get sent quite a lot of makeup, and I do use quite a lot of high-end makeup in my daily routine, but I still just love my drugstore products no matter what stage in my life that I'm at, and you know how big I grow on social media. I will never stop using drugstore makeup. I'm just going in with a second layer of the concealer just on my little blemishes, spots. scars. And by the way, I'm sure that you can probably find makeup products that are cheaper than the ones that I'm using. However, these are the cheapest in my collection, if you get what I mean. By the way, I will bronze up my neck when we get to the bronzer stage, which is now. So I'm going to do cream, bronzer and blush just because that's what I personally like to do. Obviously, you don't have to do this. I like to do both so that it layers up, because I find that doing like the cream, contour or bronzer and blush just makes my base makeup look a lot nicer. And then I'll add like a little bit of powder on top, and then that way I find it doesn't look too kind of like patchy. And also it tends to last a bit longer throughout the day as well, just like layering up the two things. And for my cream bronzer, I'm going to use the Primark concealer stick in the shade, what shade is this in? Cinnamon 13. This concealer is 90p. If you can find it in a shade that is good for your cream bronzer, then you're pretty set. They do also make these foundation sticks, which are a few pounds, but I couldn't find one that's kind of like in the right shade for contour, but apparently those are also really good. Well, they are good, I just haven't found the right shade. And in terms of drugstore brushes, I really like the Real Techniques brushes, which you can get in Superdrug and Boots. This is a brush from Real Techniques. It's the 046 brush. It's a really nice like foundation brush and also for like blending out cream products. Beauty Bay do some really good own brand brushes that are really affordable. And also actually even on Amazon and eBay, some of their own brand, not own brand, but kind of like unbranded brush sets are actually really good, and they do a really good job. I used to buy brushes off of eBay all the time, and I'd buy like a big set of them, or I'd just buy like a couple of foundation brushes, and they worked really well. Some of my favorite brushes ever are by Morphe, which are a little bit more expensive. Actually, it depends which brushes you get from Morphe, because they do have some that are a bit more affordable and some that are a bit more expensive. That makes me think, actually, would you guys like a affordable Christmas gift guide kind of video this year? Because I mean, it's coming up to that time where I'm gonna have to start thinking about Christmas. So that is my cream bronzer done. And then in terms of cream and liquid blush, this is the one thing that I have struggled to find a very good kind of like super cheap cream blush or liquid blush. Like there's nothing in the sort of like 90p price range. The absolute cheapest liquid blush that I have is one of these 17 ones. However, I wasn't really a big fan of this because it doesn't have much pigment. This is £3.50, and what I would say is instead of getting this, which you will end up using a lot more product to actually get pigmentation, you're probably better off, if you can, spending an extra £1.50 and going for these instead, which are the Revolution Super Dewy liquid blushes. These are really pigmented, you only need a little amount. And you know what? My favourite of the Revolution liquid blushes are actually the ones that Roxy did in collaboration with them. This shade in particular, it comes in a set of 2 for £8, so they're technically like £4 each, but you can also get like individual shades as well. But my favourite one is actually the Roxy one. By the way, please excuse my thumbnail, it snapped off. But yeah, I mean, look, I put on the smallest amount and they're really pigmented, so this would last you for ages. I put on too much. But I'm always on the hunt for, you know, good affordable cream blushes. I've heard that the MUA ones are pretty good, so I might be trying those next. I'll see if I can pick some up from Superdrug. How nice is that colour? Okay, so in terms of powders, I have got a loose powder here from Technic, which is the Vitamin C Translucent Finishing Powder. This is £3.15. I got this in Wilkinson's, and it's definitely the cheapest loose powder that I own because most of mine are over kind of £5. You can get pressed powders that are cheaper, but I personally prefer loose powders if I'm going to be setting my under eyes. I just find that they are a bit smoother, they tend to last a little bit longer for me and set things a little bit better, I guess because they get into the crevices a bit more. And I'm just using this Primark powder puff. I'm obsessed with these powder puffs, they're so good. So I'm just pushing that into my under eyes, and I'm not gonna lie, it's not the greatest powder. Like, it's a little bit heavy feeling, and I think it does leave like a little bit of a white sort of cast on your face, so just make sure that you blend it in properly, but it does the job. So I'm just gonna set my whole face with this. I don't even need any extra blush because this blush is so pigmented that it shows through. Primark sold a really, really good loose powder, like a translucent one, in a little pot with a blue lid, and it was £3.50. I've spoken about it on my channel before, but I think again they discontinued it because I've never seen it in there since, which is such a shame because it was really good, and that was £3.50. Oh my gosh, and I've just realised as well, the 17 powder is also £3.50. I would recommend this one over the Technic one, to be honest, and I wish that I'd remembered about this before I just put that on my face, but the Technic one is technically cheaper, technically. This one is kind of like a translucent type powder, and I used this in my full face of 17 makeup video if you want to go check that out. It's a pretty good one, but weirdly it has some like micro sort of glitters in it. It is a pretty decent loose powder. It makes your face look very smooth and it feels a little bit lighter than the Technic one. Okay, so bronzer. This is the 17 bronzer. It is £3.50 again. It's called the Glow and Define bronzer. I got the shade 010 or 010. It's actually a pretty good shade. Yeah, it's a pretty good contour shade, although I would say I don't really need a whole lot of it, do I? Because I mean, I'm looking pretty sculpted. It's called the Glow and Define bronzer. It's not really glowy. I find it more of a matte bronzer, but for £3.50, it really does the job. And this particular colour I find is a really good shade. I'm gonna just add a tiny bit of extra nose contour. And as promised, Gonna bring some down my neck. That Technic powder I wouldn't recommend if you have dry skin, because it is quite a drying powder and it's emphasising sort of this dry patch that I've got on my cheek here. Primark blush in Secrecy, £1. £1. Yeah, I really don't need any more blush, but I just wanted to show you it was £1. And then highlighter, oh my god, this one from Beauty Bay. This is the shade Beam. This is probably the most expensive thing in this video. It is. This is £5.50, and I have tried other cheaper highlighters. Actually, you know what? I must have cheaper highlighters than that. I just want to say now, you definitely can find highlighters that are really good for less than £5.50, but I seem to have gotten rid of all of mine in previous declutters. This is the most affordable one that I actually kept. Mostly because it is really bloody good, and I figured that I just had way too many highlighters that were all kind of like similar shades, but this Beauty Bay one is absolutely stunning. Did I say it's in the shade Beam? But they do other shades as well. It's really pretty. So for brow pencils, I've got two different ones. This one is literally £1. It is the Take a Brow Pencil by Makeup Gallery, which is Poundland's makeup brand. This is in the shade Brown 2, and I think I am going to use this one, but just in case you wanted something that has got a spoolie on the end of it and is a kind of like retractable brow pencil, this is the Primark brow pencil, and this is £2, and I couldn't get the plastic thing off, so it's still on there, but it's like a micro fine little brow pencil, so just in case you wanted something that was a little bit better than your bog standard pencil. But I'm going to use this Poundland one. It's actually a pretty good shade. So that is my brows filled in, and that pencil works absolutely fine. And then for my brow gel, this is the 17 Precise Definition Tinted Gel, and I've got the shade Brown. This is £4.50. And again, I'm sure you probably can get some that are a little bit cheaper, but I really like the brush of this one because it's really small. And quite a lot of the other cheaper tinted brow gels that I've tried, they've got a really big brush and it kind of gets a bit messy, but this one's got a really nice small brush. And then I'm just going to zoom you in so I can do my eyes. For my eyeshadow, I've actually got two different choices. These eyeshadow palettes are both £5 each. I've got the Primark Exposed PS eyeshadow palette, and I've got the 17 eyeshadow palette in 040 greens, but they do make this in other shades. This is actually a really nice neutrals palette. I used this in my full face of Primark makeup video, and I did also use this in my 17 makeup video, but I'm kind of feeling doing another green look today, something completely different from what I did last time. So I think I will do just that. So I screenshotted this look the other day, which is from a creator called Paulina_Kurkowska. I will put their username on the screen, but it was this gorgeous kind of like smoked out wing with a little bit of sparkle in the middle, and I just love the look of this. So I'm going to try, but with this palette of greens. So I think I will start with, let's go with this one. It's like the middle bluish, greenish, I guess teal kind of shimmer shade. And again, this is one of the Real Techniques brushes. It's the Real Techniques 044 angled brush. Let me just blend the creases on my eyelids because I didn't set them yet. So she seems to be sort of like looking straight ahead into a mirror and just putting it directly into the crease of her eye. That shade is actually really beautiful and sparkly. Can you see the little shimmers? And I'm also just bringing that into my inner corner and kind of like extending my inner corners with it. This colour is so pretty. And then just doing the same with the wing. Obviously I will blend this out, I'm not just going to leave it like that. I'm just going to take this darker green matte colour to kind of make the wing a little bit darker. I'm now just taking a bit of this kind of darker blackish, greeny, shimmery kind of shade, and I'm just deepening that up even more. And I messed it up, so I'm gonna have to use some concealer to clean it up, but I will do that in a minute. And then I'm taking some more of the green shimmer to sort of blend it out. And I'm gonna take some of this light matte green shade to sort of hopefully try and blend out those edges. Oh, thank God that's working. I've gone off route a bit of that picture that I was following because I've made it a bit more dramatic in the inner corners, but I'm just taking that same green shimmery shade that I started out with just on my finger and patting on a little bit more of that because it's really beautiful. Look at that. And then on the centre of my lid, I'm going to take this kind of gold greenish sort of colour. Do I just use my finger or should I use a brush? I think I might use my finger actually. I'm just going to pat some of that onto the centre of my lid. Ooh. It's not quite worked out exactly how I thought it would, but I actually really like how it has turned out. Those shimmers are beautiful. And then I'm just going to take the exact same green shimmer in the middle and put a tiny bit of this on my lower lash line. Just to tie it all together. A little bit of that matte green to just blend that out. And then a tiny bit of the greeny goldy shimmer. just in the middle. Ah! Drop my brush. Not bad for a £5, I think. I think this looks really cool, and I love those colours, they're so nice. At this stage I'm going to do my setting spray, and for that I'm going to be using the Barry M Fresh Face Matte Setting Spray. This is £4.99. The mister is quite strong, so just be warned. Oh my god, my jumper is soaked. Oh shit. What even is that I've got on my jumper? Oh, it's the blush that I've been using as a mirror. I've got it all over my jumper. And I think I've just fixed it in with the setting spray all over me. Oh my gosh, and I forgot to mention this 17 pigment. These pigments are £3 each, but you get a really big pot of pigment that you'll probably take quite a while to get through. This is the shade Cream Glitter. And if you're wanting something that just reflects the light, you know what? Oh my gosh, I'm going to put on a tiny bit of this over the top of the center of my lid, just to give like a touch more sparkle. It's the kind of glitter pigment that shows up really beautifully on camera, like under the flash and also under the lights as well. It just adds like a tiny bit of glitteriness, but without being actual chunky glitter. Oh god, I've just wiped it all over my face by accident. If you did want to do a bit of liquid liner, this one is by 17 and it's the Eye Flicks pen, but I don't want to ruin this with black eyeliner. I don't think it needs it, but it's a pretty good one. It's £3. Primark Wonderlash, £3, and it's so good. Are you ready for these lashes? Okay, it is a little bit clumpy, but I personally quite like my mascara to be a bit clumpy. Not like a, I don't know, it's not like a bad clumpy. It just gives you a lot of volume. I like a good amount of clumpiness. Like, excuse me? £3. So that is the eyes done. I think they look expensive. It looks like more than a £5 eyeshadow palette in my opinion. I love it. What do you guys think? And then finally for my lips, the Primark lip liner in the shade Toast. It's £1, and I have been wearing this so much recently. It is such a good shade, and they're really nice lip liners. It's just a really nice brown nude colour. And then in the centre of my lips, I'm using this, which is from 17. It's the Blushing Nude lipstick in the shade... No, wait, the shade is Blushing Nude. That is what it's called. By 17, and these, I believe, are £3 each. And then if you wanted to add a bit of gloss in the middle, this is the 17 Lacquer Gloss in the shade Glitter Nude. And this is £4. You definitely can get glosses that are cheaper, but I'm not sure I have any in my collection. But you can get some lip glosses that are like £1. So when I looked this up and I saw it was £4, I was a bit like, oh, that's a bit much. But then at the same time, last week I spent £30 on a lipstick from Pat McGrath. Like, make it make sense. There we go. This is my finished face of my cheapest makeup that I own. I personally think it doesn't look any different to any other day that I would do my makeup. I mean, obviously I wouldn't do this kind of look every day, but in terms of the quality of the makeup products, you would never look at my face and be like, you've got a face full of cheap makeup. I think the one thing that I would probably change on a daily would be the foundation, just because it's a little bit thicker and a little bit more matte than I usually like to go for. And it just takes a little bit of life out of my skin. And also probably the powder as well, but everything else is gorgeous. Like that eyeshadow palette, I'm so in love with. So there we go. I hope this video was helpful. If you guys did enjoy this kind of video, please give it a thumbs up. Let me know if you would like to see my most expensive face of makeup, because I feel like that would be quite interesting to kind of compare the differences. And at the end of the day, yes, I do like treating myself to some higher end makeup, and sometimes higher end things can be, you know, a little bit extra special, but at the same time, there are so many good products that are drugstore prices and are really, really affordable that you absolutely don't need to spend loads of money on makeup. It's just a nice kind of like treat from time to time, or something that's not an essential, you know. If you like this kind of content, you can subscribe if you would like. It is free. I will leave the button just down there. I mean, it's always there. Thanks. Hopefully the next time I speak to you guys, I will have my voice back, and I hope you guys are doing good as well, because I know that there are loads of like illnesses and stuff going around at the moment. So I hope you're all good, and I will see you guys in my next video.